Welcome to our 89th podcast. Today we're doing something a little different and a little special. Since we've started, we've had the privilege of learning from leaders, thinkers, and practitioners who are shaping the future of work in real time. So, in this episode, we're bringing you the best of the guests, a curated collection of standout moments, mic drop lessons, and memorable insights from our incredible guests. What's one thing you can take away from our guests' lessons and put into action today? Keep listening to find out. Welcome to Harmonious Workplaces, a podcast about corporate culture, organizational change management, and workplace behavior. Harmonious Workplaces was started by independent consultants Rich Cruz, Ben Kleinman, and Cheryl Volpe to explore, challenge, and build on various organizational culture and change management concepts. It's a blend of theory and practice based on their personal and professional experiences working with companies of all sizes across various industries. If you own a business, lead a team, want new ideas about the corporate environment, or just want to listen to a group of consultants talking about how to make work more enjoyable, we invite you to sit back, relax, and dive in with us to Harmonious Workplaces. Episode 31, Resilience Through Empathy, with Rachel Minion.
Well, I think there's times where you have to look at it as an adventure. And what's the worst that's going to happen? I fail, but if I fail, I get to learn something. And that creates the next adventure. So while all of this is happening, on top of now I'm full time for myself and I need to figure out how do you make a business? We put the house up for sale because in Chicago, it was a stay-at-home order. We couldn't leave. And quite frankly, didn't know when things would open up again and what do you do? And nobody had ever sold a house in a pandemic before, so why not be the first? So we put our renovated condo on the market. It sold. All of these things happened at the same time, and now we're homeless and jobless, and what next? So we put our stuff in storage and we farmed it on the beach in St. Augustine because Florida was open. So we rented a little 2-bedroom bungalow. It's really horrible to live on an island when the world is shut down. And in Florida, everything was open.
Right. You are the embodiment of the enjoy the journey poster, meme, coffee mug, and bumper sticker, right?
Absolutely.
Episode 47, Building Trust in the Workplace with Alex Prassis.
Tell managers, if there's no conflict in your teams, you're missing something. You're actually not doing something right. That's something that you should foster. And conflict is it's not about conflict resolution. It's about conflict management. Because you should constantly be fostering conflicting voices and viewpoints. And when you do that, that's actually how you build trust. It's not just, everyone's just cordial with each other. Because there's a lot of folks who are maybe saying, they're always nice to me, but I don't know if they're really agreeing with me or not. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone kind of has that natural, do we really all agree with each other? Or, is there something else going on here? So keeping that in mind.
Is this the accommodation type of conflict resolution?
Right. Are they nice to me when I'm out of the room?
Yeah.
Episode 64, Neurodiversity in the Workplace with Mary Pat Kochenash.
And when you feel safety is compromised, the interesting thing is your thinking brain goes a little bit offline because your body, that's how your body's designed, is to, if you're in a real fight or flight situation, you don't need your brain, you need your heart, you need your lungs, you need your legs to get out of that situation. So your body's designed to shut down your thinking brain. You've all had the experience of you have an argument with someone and then you walk away and you're like, oh, I should have said that. That's because when you're having the argument, your brain's a little bit shut down because your fight or flight is all ramped up. And then you walk away and your body's natural recovery system comes in and you're like, and your thinking brain opens up nice and wide and you're like, that's what I should have done. So that's a process that's going on all the time for everybody.
Okay. Episode 84, Resilience Through Disruption with Quang Lei.
My natural instinctive response to a big stressor is to feel my way through
Feel
it.
your way through it.
And what I mean by that is I have a flurry of emotions that rise from anger, frustration, depending on the situation,
Sure.
to extreme empathy, to almost where I feel like I'm part of the scene, where I've gone from empathy to actually like sympathizing with the situation. And this is what I mean by the loop. At some point, you start out into the loop, you enter the loop of resilience where you're naturally inclined to go, and then you have to move through the other two perspectives, whether that's the head, the three perspectives, the hands, whether that's the doing, right? That's the three behaviors, or three attitudes. That's the heart.
Episode 39, From Research to Reality, an IO practitioner perspective, with Jen Adelhart and Larry DeSico.
Individuals, at an individual level, we are all part of teams, and every single person has a responsibility for creating an environment of psychological safety. You can have a single toxic member and it can bring down the trust in the group.
Agreed.
And I will say, in ProSci has done a good job of this. Now they take it from the other side, and they'll talk about how the research shows that active and visible executive sponsorship is the top contributor to change success.
Stay curious would be my advice.
Stay curious.
And that goes in so many different directions. Stay curious and not judgmental when you're amongst your teammates. Ask clarifying questions. Read voraciously when it comes to understanding various different theories and concepts that are out there and where others have gone before you. Stay curious.
Awesome. I love it.
Fantastic.
Boy, I almost want to make that our sign off. Episode 70, Innovation and Thought Leadership with Mike Palmer.
We'll eventually get smart enough to point this breakthrough technology at the real problems that we have, including a climate crisis and including polarization, civil discord crisis. And, this technology should get better at making us have higher value human time. I think there's a lot of awakenings around, Jonathan Haidt's work on the anxious generation. He's got a new book coming out called The Amazing Generation, which I'm excited about. But like the idea that, social media and smartphones have really damaged people. If we can get out of like a death spiral, this is the optimism. If we can get out of that, it's conditional. This is the Kaplan-Elsat teacher, it's an if-then statement. But like, if we can get out of that cycle, this breakthrough could have huge pro-social outcomes, but we need to be conscious of the problems, but then solution-oriented rather than throw our hands up and say, we're screwed.
In a world where leadership needs clarity and action, and HR gets left out of the loop, one hermit crab steps in to save the day, only to be shut down by management. From the creators of Hermie the HR Hermit Crab and the Harmonious Workplaces podcast comes a new shell-shocking adventure, Out of the Loop Into the Fire, or HR Hung Out to Dry. This book blends workplace satire with evidence-based lessons, reminding leaders that culture, trust, and people strategy don't exist as extras. They form the foundation of lasting success. Whether you work as an HR professional, a leader, or just someone who has survived a few too many staff meetings, Hermie stories will make you laugh, think, and maybe even change the way you see your workplace. Purchase Hermie the HR Hermit Crab, Out of the Loop, Into the Fire, or HR Hung Out to Dry, now available on Amazon and Ingram Spark. Shop now at harmoniousworkplaces.com/HermieHRCrab. That's harmoniousworkplaces.com/HermieHRCrab.
Huh, they changed your Fred.
Episode 59, Leading Through Uncertainty with Dr. Jana Van Thiel.
So those individuals who are self-aware, or they claim to be self-aware, such as typically a narcissist will be, they're actually self-delusional, right? They have this delusional perspective of how they show up to others and how they interact with others. And you guys know, right? Emotions are much stronger than logical thinking. And when someone is emotionally connected to their identity of this is who I perceive myself to be, it is going to be much stronger than, Rich, you trying to tell me that I'm not showing up in the way that I believe that I'm showing up, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to think that you're wrong, and I'll probably tell you that you're wrong.
Episode 71, Managing Expectations and Leveraging Rumors with Jenny Posar.
The best feeling I've ever had is when you get the rare thing of somebody coming back and giving you that feedback loop without you asking, without like setting up a one-on-one or like, hey, did you hear it? They come back and they stop by your office. They're like, hey, just want to let you know that I don't think this is going to go over too well with the data scientist guys. They're not going to like this. That stuff is gold. Yeah. That is culture surveys in real life that you cannot. This is where you get back to the old AI word that we're using every 5 seconds on every, in every conversation. But you can't. That's the stuff you can't do with AI. You can't get that.
Right.
No.
And I thought we were going to actually get through an episode without having the term AI.
I know. That was
Lauren
my goal,
Acronym.
but I was like, shit.
Well, we got a fair ways into it, though.
Yeah.
I love that.
And our
like
first acronym of episode 60, Strategic Workforce Management, Bracing for Impact with Elizabeth Constantine.
There's a right way and a wrong way to let people go with empathy or not. And then I think the other thing is like coming back to the kind of support they get on the way out. Again, no one's going to be happy that, they had an unexpected exit. But if we can get them to a place where 12 months later, they look back and they were like, look, I'm still not happy that it ended, but I respect the company that I got really good quality support to help me find my next opportunity. That is what's going to move the needle on how they're going to talk about their past employer. And in the executive top level world, C-suite, that matters and it will get around.
Right. Because at the end of the day, it's rarefied at that level too, right? And it's probably not a very small world. You know who's
It's not.
the CEO, you know who his or her team is, and you become fairly intimate with those names too.
Yes. And they all poach from each other. So it's a word will get out about where people may or may not want to work, and employers need to be mindful of that.
Episode 55, Leveraging Play with Intentionality with Rachel Caberon.
The greatest thing that happens when you're playing is the discovery of the misassumptions. That there's something else that other people know that you didn't know they knew.
Sure.
There's a team that I've been kind of informally advising that I just started with, and they are doing work in workplace hiring. And one of the things that they recognize is that there's an awful lot of social chatter that, like you're sitting in a meeting and somebody does something and you're going, oh my God, they are really good at that. Who knew they were so good at that?
Episode 43, Improving Collaboration and Change Through Elegance with Robert Snyder.
I have not yet met a person who's had to master Agile, use Agile, and live with Agile that has enjoyed it. I haven't met that person yet.
It's because the metaphor stinks. The metaphor is a sprint. The metaphor is not a symphony. It's not a play. It's not dance.
It's a painful sprint.
I would push back a little bit. I've had experiences with Agile that have been absolutely wonderful, but they have been on very small, very coordinated teams that are all working in synchronization. And it's been when, at least in my experience, when we've tried to scale Agile, or when I've come into a company where they've had multiple teams working not quite even close to being in synchronization, that Agile gets to be very challenging, or it gets to be abused, and it doesn't serve its purpose anymore. And so I think it's just about how we do Agile that has gotten corrupted over the years.
Yeah,
sure. At Harmonious Workplaces, we believe work should provide purpose, satisfaction, and growth. We empower people to thrive by fostering environments where individuals can find meaning in their work and organizations can succeed through thoughtful, well-executed strategies. We're committed to making work better for the people who do it and the leaders who guide them. To discover how Harmonious Workplaces can impact your organization, visit www.harmoniousworkplaces.com and book a free 30-minute information session with one of our consultants today. Again, that's www.harmoniousworkplaces.com. Episode 51, all about organizational assessments with Katie Thomas.
AI is probably the biggest shakeup to the workplace that we've had in at least the last 50 years. And it hasn't finished. It's not like it's been and gone and it's changed everything. The thing that I come back to with AI is this is the worst it's ever going to be. You look at the outputs now, the worst they're ever going to be. It's only ever going to get better. So I think on a few fronts, it's affecting what we do with business psychology, because it's changing the workplace. So the skills that we are needing now and will need in the future have changed, will change. And that means that we need to adapt to what we're measuring. So there's this whole argument about developing people's prompt writing and use of AI in itself. But it's also the meta skills that lead to someone actually being interested in staying up to date with AI and wanting to learn about AI and wanting to use it as effectively as they can in the workplace.
Episode 83, ADA and Inclusive Culture with Rachel Shaw.
Do you guys know what the average cost of a workplace ADA accommodation is for an employer? The average cost
I have
to accommodate
no
a disabled person. It's under $300. And in my experience, it's usually zero. It is so rare. I had a teacher, a second grade elementary teacher, who woke up in the hospital after Christmas break or Thanksgiving, or a holiday break with no arms and no legs from sepsis. She went back to work and it cost her employer $67. They bought her a rolling cart she could utilize with her wheelchair and her one prosthetic arm. They assumed it would cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there are rare examples like ASL interpreters, potentially if you have to change facilities that are expensive. But 99.99% of every accommodation I've managed for my 26-year career has been either $0 or under $300. Now, Title II of the ADA is what you're talking about. It is where employers, new buildings, renters, and that's where I think you can see some of that. You have a company that goes in and they're a mom and pop and they're hit with a lawsuit where someone said they were denied a accessible restroom. I don't do that work, but I know it can be very difficult.
Episode 68, Adaptive Change in the Face of VUCA with Dr. Casey DeBryan.
Here's a novel idea, and whenever I say this, it blows people's minds. But there's a very specific assessment you can use to tap into someone's hidden skills that maybe you didn't know they have. You ask them.
Yeah.
Use your words.
Use your words.
I don't have a degree in
that. At any point in time, you have people that have passions outside of their job, right? You have people that have knowledge or experiences from past work. You have people that are curious, so they explore. And what if we gave them a catalyst or an opportunity to leverage some of those skills inside their own work? Right?
Episode 62, Continuous Improvement and Structured Problem Solving with Dan Pinkham.
You can't see the label from inside the jar.
Ah, yeah. Okay. I like that.
I like that.
And because people, they get very close to what they're doing. They're working in the business rather than on the business. So it's hard to figure out from that perspective what's holding you back.
Sure.
And so bringing in some outside perspective is important. And as I mentioned, worked for a couple of different companies leading internal operational excellence efforts, Compass Minerals and Johns Manville specifically. I love working with teams and really to maintain a sustainable change. But when you're doing process improvement, you've got to get the team on board and owning that whole improvement process.
Episode 86, Strategic HR with Hermie, the HR Hermit Crab.
It's a head scratcher or a shell scratcher. I mean, it just makes no sense to me, right? So maybe Hermie, tell me, kind of from where you sit as a HR professional, what are some of the main functions or reasons why we would have HR and why the HR function should have a seat at that strategy table?
Yeah, that's
like what is
I'm
Boss
glad
Beta
you.
missing?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked, and I don't think I love Boss Beta. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he really has paid too much attention in his business classes. Sometimes don't let him know that I said that.
I wouldn't
So,
dare.
yeah, he gets a little if you excuse the word, crabby about that kind of stuff. So anyway, so human resources, the way that I've learned it is, it covers 4 basic functions, if that makes sense. Can I talk about those functions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on. Okay. So the first one is staffing, right? You got to make sure you get the right people into the organization, put them in the right places, and have them do the right things, right?
Thanks for listening to Harmonious Workplaces. You can find Harmonious Workplaces on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and other streaming platforms. We'd love any feedback on whatever channel you find us on. Please rate, like, and share our podcast with your network, and remember to add Harmonious Workplaces to your list of favorites to get notified about each new episode.